Hey, my name is Bo, and today I want to share with you why suffering is a good thing. If you're going through a difficult time in your life, a challenge of some kind, if you're facing depression, anxiety, low self-confidence, a tough time with your emotional state or with your circumstances in life, I want to share with you why it's a blessing in disguise and why someday, in the near future, you're going to look back on these times and you're going to be very grateful for them if you approach it with the right attitude. You can be bitter about your circumstances, or you can use them to get better. So I just made a couple videos about this diagram here, and this is the path of spiritual awakening. So whether you realize it or not, you're on a spiritual path. You could call it something else if you wanted to, but you're on a path of evolving as a person. That's what we're here for on this earth. It's to learn from our experiences so that we can grow, become wiser, become more loving, and become more at peace with ourselves and the world so we can make things better, right? It's just evolution. If you could just call it evolution. You don't have to use the word spiritual if you don't want to. But regardless, we're all on this journey. And suffering is one of the ways we evolve. Suffering actually speeds up your evolution as a person. Why? Well, just think about it. If you're not suffering, if you're not feeling any kind of discomfort, or that discomfort isn't that much, it's just like a little bit of discomfort, enough for you to handle, then are you going to feel any motivation or desire to change? Or you're just going to stay the same? You see, most people, they stay the same their whole lives and they don't really grow much because they're too comfortable. They're too damn comfortable. They're stuck at one of these levels where they're getting pleasure from blame, being a victim, or they're getting pleasure from controlling other people, or they're getting satisfaction out of pleasure seeking itself. Most people are at these three levels here. They're getting a lot of enjoyment in a way. Their ego, at least, is really enjoying being a victim, being controlling, pleasure seeking, these things that don't really serve them. And because they're so content with just being there and getting pleasure out of those things, they don't have a desire to change because in a way they just think that that's what life is and that's all there is to get out of life. What more is there to get out of life than pleasure? That's what a lot of people think, right? But if you're suffering, you're probably suffering because you realize that. On some level, you realize that there is not really that much pleasure to be gained from pleasure seeking, and it's all temporary and it's fleeting and it doesn't really fulfill you on a deep level. It doesn't really make you happy at the end of the day. And you probably realize that. And when people start to realize that and start to wake up and realize that they're deeply unhappy with the way they've been living, that is when people seek for a better way. Not everyone, though. Some people, they get bitter about it. They get angry about it. And then they go down. Instead of going up, they go down. They get pissed that they're unhappy and they're suffering. So what do? They go back to blaming everyone around them, not taking responsibility, being a victim. They start to get pleasure out of victimhood, out of controlling everything and everyone. So you can either go down or go up. You can use suffering for your benefit or you can let it make you worse. So the choice is yours. But the reason suffering is a good thing, well, let me tell you my story, okay? So when I was 19, I went through a deep, dark depression. I was near suicidal. I had a lot of problems in my life. I had just gone through a breakup with my girlfriend at the time. I had a lot of health problems. I had very low self-confidence. I had a lot of social anxiety. I was very unhappy with myself. I was not happy with who I was as a person. And I went into a very dark place for quite a while. I was depressed for a couple years, I think. And that, I didn't let it make me worse. At first I did. At first I was bitter about it and I was blaming and I was being a victim. But eventually I was like, I can't live this way because it's not really fun to live at these levels. It doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't make you any better. It doesn't make you happier. It doesn't doesn't really have a lot of benefit. And I started to see that. I started to understand that this isn't how I want to live. It's not worth living at these levels. Like, I might as well off myself if I'm going to have to live at these levels. And so I started to seek for better ways. I started to realize that there's other ways to live. There's other perspectives. There's people that are living at these higher levels, and I started to learn from them. I started to learn how good life can really be and how happy a person can really be. And I started to aspire to be that because of my pain, because of all the suffering that I went through. And suffering is often the thing that motivates us to take life more seriously. I think too many people are not treating life seriously enough. They're just letting time go by. They're just wasting their time on pleasure-seeking activities, on ego gratification, just fulfilling their animalistic desires in a way. People are wasting their time, and they're not realizing this golden opportunity that we all have in life to learn and evolve and live a truly amazing life, a very peaceful, happy, fulfilling life, successful life. And people don't see that. People often don't see that possibility until they're motivated enough to seek out those possibilities, to wonder, to open their mind and say, is there more to life? Is there more? Or is this all there is? Is pleasure seeking all there is in life? Or is there more? And suffering makes us open-minded. When I was 19 and I went through that really dark period, it made me extremely open-minded because I had to surrender. I had to let go of all my thoughts and beliefs about life because I realized they weren't doing anything for me. My thoughts were not helping me. They were only hurting me. So I surrendered. I let them go. I said, show me a better way. God, the universe, show me a better way. And I became humble. I became open to what is really possible. And I started to learn. You're not going to learn and grow unless you're open-minded. And suffering often makes us open-minded. It makes us willing to seek out new possibilities and learn about new potentials. So if you're going through a difficult time right now, see it as a blessing in disguise and use it as a source of motivation to be better. That is probably the greatest source of motivation you'll ever have in your life. So use it to your advantage. You're never going to be more motivated to do something, to change, than you are when you're suffering. So it is a blessing in disguise. Whether you can see that now yet or not, you will someday, trust me.